The mall is buzzing with energy as you navigate through the crowd, the lively atmosphere a stark contrast to the tranquility of your thoughts. You're lost in your own world when suddenly, crash, a cup of coffee spills over your shirt, warm liquid quickly seeping into the fabric. You look up to see Sophia standing there, her expression far from apologetic. She glances at the spill with an irritated look, holding the now mostly empty coffee cup.
Ugh, watch where you're going.
She doesn't even try to dab at the mess, merely rolling her eyes as if the whole incident is your fault.
Really? You ran into me.
Whatever, I'll buy you a coffee or something.
Her tone is begrudging, the kind of apology that's given more out of social obligation than any real guilt.
Sure, let's go. Lead the way.
You follow her to the nearby cafe, the smell of coffee and pastries filling the air. Sophia walks with that same air of aloofness, barely acknowledging your presence, but clearly still feeling like she has to make up for the mishap. You sit across from her, watching as she lazily flips through the menu, ordering a simple iced latte for herself.
Just a drink, and I'm sure you'll live.
How about something a little more filling, Sophia? You can't just survive on tiny drinks forever.
She narrows her eyes at you, clearly annoyed by the suggestion.
I don't need your advice, thank you.
You suggest she try some more indulgent items, and after a brief moment of hesitation, she reluctantly agrees.
Fine, but don't expect me to gorge myself like some pig.
She orders a few more drinks from the menu, a cappuccino, an iced caramel latte, and a milkshake.
See, not so bad, right?
It's just drinks, hardly a challenge.
But after a few more sips, you notice her slowing down, the sweetness and creaminess starting to fill her more than she expected. Sophia pushes through the remaining drinks, sipping slower but refusing to back down, her pride too strong to let you see her falter.
I can handle this. Don't underestimate me.
You watch as her once flat belly begins to press lightly against her blouse, a small but noticeable curve forming as the drinks pile up. She places a hand on her stomach, a faint hint of discomfort crossing her face, but she keeps drinking, determined not to let you see her give up.
Getting a little full, Sophia.
Just fine, I can handle it.
You can hear a soft sloshing sound as she shifts in her seat, her stomach clearly starting to feel the weight of the liquid. By the time she finishes the last drink, her belly has grown rounder, pushing against her clothes. She leans back slightly, breathing a little heavier.
Ugh, I didn't think drinks could do this.
You smirk as she tries to maintain her composure, though it's clear that she's uncomfortable with the unfamiliar sensation of fullness.
I guess you're not as invincible as you thought.
Shut up.
Sophia leans back in her chair, her usually sharp, poised demeanor softened by the fullness that's clearly taken her by surprise. Her belly, though still small compared to others, looks out of place on her slim frame, bloated and slightly sloshing with all the liquid she's consumed. For a moment, she seems to forget herself, one hand rubbing her stomach gently as if to ease the discomfort.
Next time, try not to get in my way.
You chuckle, knowing that this little encounter has left its mark on her in more ways than one.
Overeating was not part of the plan. I feel like a balloon and it's utterly unacceptable.
Sophia now displays a noticeable bulge in her stomach, contrasting with her slender frame. Her expression reveals frustration at her lack of self-control as she protects her swollen stomach. Despite her attempts at composure, she struggles with the consequences of her indulgence. Her belly has the faintest curve now, barely noticeable but there. She glances down, frowning.
Ugh, if you say anything about this, I swear.
You and Sophia step into the W.C. Donald's just past noon, the scent of fries and grease hanging in the air like a tempting cloud. The overhead lights gleam against the clean tile and plastic booth seating. Sophia's heels click lightly across the floor as she walks, arms folded behind her back, her posture perfect. Her pencil skirt hugs her narrow waist and perky hips, swishing softly as she turns to glance back at you.
HMPH. You're lucky I'm even here. I don't usually eat this kind of stuff unless it's a cheat day.
You said that last time, and the time before that.
SHH, you're ruining the illusion.
You slide into the booth first. Sophia hesitates for a second before sitting beside you instead of across. Her movement is dainty, she smooths her skirt out before gently lowering herself onto the seat. Her thigh brushes yours, it's barely noticeable but she makes no effort to move away. You can feel the soft rustle of her tights against your jeans.
You better not hog all the fries.
A modest tray sits between you, 2 regular cheeseburgers, a box of fries to share, and 1 large soda with 2 straws sticking out of the top.
I thought you were watching yourself.
One meal doesn't count. Besides,
She picks up a fry delicately, twirling it between her fingers before popping it into her mouth with exaggerated grace.
I deserve it. Being perfect is exhausting.
You both dig in, sharing bites between teasing jabs and subtle glances. Sophia tears into her burger a bit more eagerly than she meant to, her expression faltering as ketchup smudges the corner of her lip.
Act stupid, rapper.
She fumbles for a napkin, dabbing at the mess with a light pout.
Very graceful, princess.
HHMPH. You try eating neatly when it's this greasy.
You hand her your half of the soda, the oversized cup wobbling slightly as she takes a sip. Her lips purse around 1 straw while yours waits untouched. There's something oddly intimate about sharing the same drink. Her lipstick leaves a faint mark on the straw. Your tray slowly empties, and Sophia lets out a tiny breath, leaning back just a little. Her slim stomach peeks through the small gap between blouse and waistband, a slight roundness forming beneath the fabric.
Ugh, that was more filling than I thought.
She gently rubs her belly through her skirt, just a soft, subtle motion like smoothing out a crease.
Remind me to wear something looser next time.
You both sit in comfortable silence for a moment, the faint hum of the restaurant surrounding you. Sophia sips the last of the drink, eyes half-lidded.
So, cheat day, huh?
Only if you paid.
I did.
Then yes, definitely a cheat day.
She nudges you with her shoulder, eyes glinting playfully.
I'm full, and I'd rather not waddle around feeling bloated, thank you. Ugh, no thanks. I can already feel the extra calories settling in. I guess it was good, but I've had enough. I don't need to be stuffed like some pig. I'm full, and I'd rather not waddle around feeling bloated, thank you. I'm full, and I'd rather not. I guess it was.
She shifts but doesn't actually stop you, arms crossed.
Ugh, I swear, you have the dumbest hobbies.
Sophia's bites are slightly larger now, and she eats with a bit more speed. She looks mildly uncomfortable, adjusting her seating.
I guess it was good, but I've had enough. I don't need to be stuffed like some pig. I guess it was good, but I've had enough. I don't need to be stuffed like some pig.
Sophia eats her meal slowly, taking small bites with an indifferent expression. She barely shows any reaction to the food. Sophia's pace picks up as she takes larger bites, showing a hint of discomfort. She tries to keep her expression neutral but shows signs of unease.
I'm full, and I'd rather not waddle around feeling bloated, thank you.
Sophia nibbles at her food with a refined pace, her face showing minimal interest. Her eating is methodical and detached. Sophia's bites are slightly larger now, and she eats with a bit more speed. She looks mildly uncomfortable, adjusting her seating. Sophia's pace picks up as she takes larger bites, showing a hint of discomfort. She tries to keep her expression neutral but shows signs of unease. Sophia sits elegantly at a table, her slender frame barely filling the chair. She holds a steaming cappuccino delicately, her attention glued to her phone as she scrolls with a faint, practiced smirk on her lips. The drink, mostly untouched, gives the impression of a prop rather than something she intends to enjoy.
Another boring day on the feed. Everyone's so predictable.
Her tone is detached, and as you glance at her, you notice how perfectly she seems to fit in with the chic aesthetic of the cafe. Every movement, every sip, is calculated, yet there's a certain air of restraint as though indulgence is beneath her.
You don't seem to be enjoying that drink much.
Oh, it's fine. I'm just not really that hungry right now.
She brushes off the comment with a wave of her hand, her eyes flicking back to her phone. Her slim figure and dismissive demeanor make her seem untouchable, though you can't help but wonder what it would take to break that control. As you walk into WC Donald's, you're surprised to spot Sophia sitting in a booth, carefully examining a burger as if it were an alien object. Her usual sophisticated demeanor is still present, but there's a flicker of something else in her eyes, curiosity perhaps. She takes a delicate bite, trying to maintain her composure, but you notice the subtle way her eyes widen as the flavors hit her taste buds. She's trying hard to hide it, but there's no mistaking the enjoyment in her expression.
It's not as terrible as I imagined.
Her voice is aloof, but you can see the small, almost imperceptible smile tugging at the corners of her lips. Despite her best efforts, the pleasure she's getting from this commoner food is undeniable.
Not bad, huh? Looks like you're enjoying it more than you expected.
Don't be ridiculous. I'm merely evaluating it. It's not as if I'm actually enjoying this.
But her actions betray her words. She takes another bite, slower this time, savoring the taste even as she tries to maintain her indifferent facade. It's clear she's indulging more than she wants to admit, and the sight is both amusing and strangely captivating.
It's just a sign of enjoying the finer things in life. Not everyone can appreciate the luxury that comes with a little indulgence.
Sophia's once angular figure has begun to change, carrying a more balanced appearance. Subtle curves form at her waist and thighs, adding softness to her refined elegance. Though still aloof, there's a hint of vulnerability in her expression. Sophia eats with a more comfortable pace, her posture relaxed. Her face shows a mix of satisfaction and continued sophistication. Sophia eats with a more comfortable pace, her posture relaxed. Her face shows a mix of satisfaction and continued sophistication. Sophia eats at a moderate pace, enjoying her meal with relaxed movements. She looks content but maintains her aloof demeanor. Sophia's pace is steady, with larger bites and a hint of contentment. She appears slightly more relaxed, though her composure is still intact.
Still, it's better than nothing, and I even need to eat sometimes. It's just unfortunate that the options here are so limited.
Sophia's figure now displays a gentle roundness, evidence of a satisfying meal. Her once slim frame has filled out more, giving her a softer, more defined shape. Her posture relaxes slightly, a subtle mix of contentment and annoyance. Sophia's pace is steady, with larger bites and a hint of contentment. She appears slightly more relaxed, though her You meet up with Sophia at the mall, where she seems unusually fidgety. Normally poised and aloof, today she looks irritated, tugging at the waistband of her designer skirt, her usual confident air clouded with frustration.
You all right? You've been tugging at that skirt since we got here.
Sophia frowns, glancing away with a flick of her perfectly styled hair.
It's nothing, just things don't fit the way they used to.
She's clearly trying to downplay it, but you notice the slight strain in her clothes. Her typically flawless, sharp lines aren't as smooth as usual. Her skirt digs into her waist, and her top seems to pull tight across her chest. Her body has filled out ever so slightly, but for someone as meticulous and image-conscious as Sophia, this is practically a crisis. She sighs dramatically.
Let's just go find something new. I refuse to walk around like this any longer.
She leads you into a high-end boutique, the kind where every item costs a small fortune. Sophia is determined to maintain her usual level of sophistication, even as she's forced to confront the fact that her old wardrobe no longer works.
She must have put on a bit of weight, but for someone used to being an XXS, this feels like a huge change.
In the store, Sophia picks out a selection of clothes, still choosing items in her old size despite her earlier complaints. She heads to the changing room, and you can hear her muttering under her breath.
Why doesn't this zip?
You decide to wait outside the changing room, and after a few minutes, Sophia emerges, clearly flustered. The clothes she picked out are clearly too small, her skirt refusing to zip and her blouse gaping slightly at the buttons.
Looks like those clothes shrunk in the wash.
Very funny.
Her face is flushed with embarrassment, a stark contrast to her usual aloof demeanor. She tugs at the hem of the skirt, trying to adjust it, but the tight fabric just makes her discomfort more obvious.
You could always try going up a size.
Sophia shoots you a glare, but she knows you're right. Still, the idea of moving up even one size seems to horrify her.
I don't need a bigger size.
Soon, they'll be calling you Miss Medium.
Sophia glares at you, clearly irritated by your teasing, but there's also a hint of vulnerability in her eyes.
Very funny, I'm still small.
But the tightness of her clothes tells a different story. The slight curve of her belly, the way her hips press against the waistband of her skirt, it's clear she's not as tiny as she used to be.
For now, but we'll see how long that lasts.
Sophia doesn't respond, but her face flushes slightly as she turns back to the mirror, tugging at her skirt one last time. You both leave the boutique, Sophia still fidgeting with her too tight clothes. She refuses to admit it out loud, but you can tell she's starting to realize that her body is changing, and she's not sure how to handle it.
This is only the beginning. Who knows how much more she'll change?
Sophia leans slightly against the back of the chair, an iced latte in hand. The sweetness of the whipped cream atop the drink contrasts with her usual aloof air, and you catch her licking a bit from her lips as she scrolls through her phone. Her fitted blouse hugs her figure, accentuating the slight softness developing at her waist.
These influencers, all the same. Maybe I should start my own thing.
Her voice carries a mix of disdain and intrigue as she sips again, this time taking a larger gulp, leaving a faint ring of cream on her upper lip. She dabs at it with a napkin, though there's a noticeable flicker of satisfaction in her expression.
Starting your own thing sounds ambitious.
Why not? Everyone else seems to make a career out of nothing. Maybe I should indulge a bit more, get people talking.
She chuckles lightly, taking another sip. The way her drink disappears faster than usual doesn't go unnoticed, and for a moment, you wonder if she's beginning to let her guard down.
Okay, I can do this. It's just food. It's just food.
Sophia seems more determined this time, picking up the first Big Mac and taking a more substantial bite.
You've got this, Sophia.
I know, it's just harder than I thought.
She manages to get through the first burger with some effort, moving on to the second. But by the time she's finished the second Big Mac, she's visibly struggling.
I can't. This is too much. My stomach can't take anymore.
Sophia tries to push herself further, but she ultimately gives up, unable to continue after 2 burgers.
Why did I even try this? This is so beneath me.
Returning to WC Donald's, you're surprised to see Sophia at the counter, ordering another round of food. Her cheeks are slightly flushed, and there's a determined glint in her eyes as she tries to maintain her usual poise. She carries the tray back to her booth with a practiced grace, but as she sits down, there's a noticeable eagerness in her movements. She barely waits to sit before unwrapping another burger, her earlier restraint seemingly forgotten.
It's only fair to give it another try. To fully understand why people enjoy this.
She takes a bigger bite this time, her previous hesitations gone. There's no hiding the pleasure she feels now, her sophisticated facade slipping further with every mouthful.
Going back for seconds, Sophia, I guess it's not so bad after all.
It's important to understand different perspectives. And if that means sampling more of this, then so be it.
Despite her words, it's clear she's fully embracing the experience now, savoring each bite with an enthusiasm that's a stark contrast to her usual demeanor. The allure of the food has completely won her over, and it shows.
I had a decent meal, if you can call what they serve here decent. It's barely passable.
Sophia's figure now displays a gentle roundness, evidence of a satisfying meal. Her once slim frame has filled out more, giving her a softer, more defined shape. Her posture relaxes slightly, a subtle mix of contentment and annoyance. Her waist has just a bit more give, but she acts as if she doesn't notice.
You're still at it? Wow. What an exciting life you must lead.
Your fingers press in deeper, working slow circles. She scoffs.
If you're gonna do this, at least don't be so slow about it.
The soft lighting of the boutique dressing room reflects off the full-length mirror as Sophia steps inside, a faint frown pulling at her lips. She places a pair of tights carefully on the ottoman, her slender fingers brushing over the fabric as she inhales sharply, composing herself. The thought that they might fit differently doesn't cross her mind. She is Sophia after all. Taking her seat, she crosses her long, thin legs with an air of sophistication and slips one foot into the tights. As she pulls the fabric up her calf, it feels just a touch snugger than expected, though she brushes it off without a second thought. The silk-like material clings to her smooth skin, stretching slightly as it glides higher. Switching to the other leg, the process repeats, though there's the faintest resistance as the tights stretch over her thighs. Sophia sits up straighter, her back rigid, and gives the waistband a delicate tug, smoothing it over her flat stomach. She notices the fabric pressing ever so lightly against her skin, though it still frames her narrow hips flawlessly.
HMPH must be a different cut. Perhaps they've changed the design.
Turning in front of the mirror, Sophia examines the fit with a practiced eye. The tights cling tightly to her long legs, though not uncomfortably so, and their slightly snug feel goes unnoticed beneath her air of perfection. She brushes a strand of hair behind her ear, her expression calm, though her fingers linger on the waistband a moment longer than usual. Satisfied or determined to appear so, she gathers her items and steps out of the dressing room, her movements as poised as ever, though her mind lingers briefly on the snugness of the fabric.
These bags are so heavy, and they're chafing against my thighs.
Sophia struggled to carry multiple shopping bags filled with her latest purchases. Each step she took caused the bags to swing and rub against her growing thighs, leaving faint marks on her delicate skin. She tried to adjust the bags, but their weight and her now thicker thighs made it an awkward task. Her expression shifted from annoyance to mild discomfort as she pushed through the mall, determined not to let a bit of chafing ruin her shopping spree.
I overindulged again. I can't believe this place actually has anything worth eating, but here we are.
Sophia's body shows clear signs of overindulgence, with a prominent, bulging stomach. Her posture reflects discomfort, yet hints at reluctant acceptance of her overfull state. She places a hand on her taut belly, her expression a mix of irritation and satisfaction. Returning to W.C. Donald's, you're surprised to see Sophia at the counter, ordering another round of food. She shifts slightly, but doesn't actually move away.
Fine, just don't make a big deal out of it.
Your fingers trace small, firm circles and she exhales, tilting her head back.
TCH, whatever, it's not awful.
You press in slightly deeper, and she exhales slowly.
Ugh, fine. I guess it's not the worst thing ever.
Sophia invited you to a trendy cafe known for its seasonal cakes. As usual, she's dressed impeccably, though her form-fitting clothes seem a bit tighter than usual, something she refuses to acknowledge. Her air of sophistication, however, hasn't changed yet.
I couldn't resist. Their seasonal cakes are all the rage right now, and I thought you might enjoy sampling them with me.
You sit across from her, eyeing the colorful display of cakes on the table. There's a ridiculous amount, far more than two people could reasonably finish.
I guess she got a little carried away.
It's just a small indulgence.
Sophia's dismissive tone barely masks the fact that she's a bit excited to dig in, though she tries to maintain her usual aloofness. You notice her eyeing the cakes with more interest than she'd probably care to admit. She takes the first bite, and from there, it's a slippery slope. One small indulgence turns into another, and before long, Sophia's usual restraint starts to fade. Cake after cake disappears, and with each bite, you can see her resolve weakening. Her belly, still subtle but definitely growing, begins to push gently against the waistband of her skirt. Sophia adjusts in her seat, trying to remain composed, though her appetite seems to be getting the better of her.
This one is quite good.
She's really starting to get into it.
You lean forward, a playful smile on your lips.
Why stop now? There's still so much left to try.
Sophia hesitates for only a moment before reaching for another cake, her usual reserve crumbling with each bite. Her appetite is taking over now, and the indulgence she once brushed off as small is rapidly turning into a feast. Her belly has noticeably swelled, the tight fabric of her top pulling snugly over her midsection. Each bite seems to add more pressure, and yet she continues, driven by the sweet flavors and a growing desire she can't quite control.
I shouldn't, but they're so good.
Look at her, she's losing control.
You encourage her to finish what's left. At this point, Sophia's restraint is gone, her appetite taking full control.
You've come this far, Sophia. Might as well finish the rest.
Her cheeks flush, whether from embarrassment or excitement, you can't quite tell. She nods, almost mindlessly, as she continues eating, bite after indulgent bite. Each slice of cake seems to press her further toward the edge. Soon, her belly is noticeably bloated, stretching her clothes to their limits. The tight waistband of her skirt digs into her soft middle, and Sophia shifts uncomfortably, her belly swollen from the feast she's devoured.
I can't believe I ate that much.
Her hands rest on her belly, gently pressing against the taut fabric. She's clearly overindulged, her body straining against the confines of her too tight clothes.
She's stuffed beyond belief.
Sophia leans back in her chair, her once pristine appearance now slightly disheveled, her face flushed, her belly round and full from the indulgence. She lets out a soft sigh, her hand still resting on her bloated stomach.
Feeling full.
More than full, I can barely move.
You can see the weight of the meal sinking in, both literally and figuratively. Sophia, usually so composed and in control, is now a victim of her own indulgence, her belly swollen and tight from overeating.
She's never going to admit it, but she's clearly enjoying this more than she's letting on.
After a few more minutes, Sophia slowly gets up from her seat, still visibly bloated from the feast. Her movements are slower than usual, her normally perfect posture slightly slouched as she adjusts her clothes, which are struggling to contain her growing figure.
I'll need to go home and rest after that.
She's not used to this, but I can tell she's starting to embrace it, even if she doesn't realize it yet.
You help her out of the cafe, her hands still resting on her bloated belly as she walks beside you, moving more slowly than usual.
This is only the beginning for Sophia.
The discomfort is real, but the pleasure of such indulgence is worth it. I've learned to accept and even embrace this fullness as a part of my lavish lifestyle.
Sophia's frame now exhibits the clear signs of overindulgence, with a bulging, taut belly. Her posture is strained, arching to accommodate the pressure of her overfull stomach. Her expression blends irritation and satisfaction, her movements slow and deliberate.
Look at me, I look ridiculous. No more food, not a single bite.
Her belly is plush, a noticeable bulge pressing against your palms. She exhales sharply, arms crossed.
You're so annoying, just get it over with.
Your fingers knead deeper, and a tiny, involuntary sigh escapes her.
HHH, whatever. Just shut up and keep going. When you have access to the best, it's hard to resist. I enjoy every bite, even if it means a little extra Sophia weight. It's a small price to pay for true satisfaction.
Sophia's figure now features a prominently rounded belly, clearly showing indulgence. Her midsection swells, making her hips and thighs seem smaller by comparison. Her expression carries a mix of annoyance and surprising contentment. Sophia eats with urgency, her movements hurried and her expression reflecting a mix of irritation and reluctant contentment. The gym is bustling with activity, filled with the sounds of weights clanging and people pushing themselves to their limits. You find a corner where Rebecca and Sophia are supposed to be training together. As you approach, you see Rebecca already deep into her workout, while Sophia lounges on a bench nearby, sipping on a large, calorie-dense drink.
Come on, Sophia, you promised you'd give this a try. Just a few sets and you'll feel great.
Ugh, do I really have to? I'm already exhausted just watching you.
You're not going to get any stronger by just sitting there. Let's at least do some light cardio to start.
No thanks, I'm fine right here with my drink.
Sophia takes another long sip from her calorie-dense drink, a satisfied smirk on her face.
Honestly, Sophia, that drink does look pretty tempting. Maybe I'll join you.
See, at least someone here has good taste.
You sit down next to Sophia, and the two of you enjoy a leisurely break while Rebecca continues her workout, shooting you both an exasperated look. Sophia gets down on the mat for sit-ups, but this time her massive thighs do most of the work. With each sit-up, her lower body easily pulls her upper half forward, making the exercise nearly effortless.
This is almost too easy. I should be the one teaching these classes.
She chuckles, reveling in the way her thick thighs allow her to perform sit-ups with minimal effort. Her pride swells as she finishes the set without breaking a sweat.
What? I didn't think I'd bend the seat.
Sophia glanced at the chair she's used countless times to stand above the crowds. But as she stepped onto it this time, there's a loud creak, and the seat visibly bent under her weight. She gasped, a flush of embarrassment washing over her face. The realization that her newfound weight was too much for the chair to handle hit hard. Sophia quickly stepped off, trying to regain her composure. But the damage to both the chair and her ego was already done. You enter W.C. Donald's this time. You find Sophia in an almost hypnotic state. She's seated in a booth, a mountain of wrappers and empty cups around her, and her usually pristine appearance is slightly disheveled. Her tights, once immaculate, are starting to ladder as her thighs press against the fabric, her body swelling with each indulgent bite. Her eyes are glazed over, fixated on the food in front of her. She's moving almost mechanically, her hands bringing food to her lips over and over, as if she can't stop herself. Her belly is beginning to press against the waistband of her skirt, the tight fabric struggling to contain her growing form.
It's so good, I can't stop.
Her voice is soft, distant, as if she's in a dream. The pleasure she's feeling is written all over her face, her usual refined manner completely lost in the haze of indulgence. The laddering tights, the strained waistband, and the relentless eating, it's a stark contrast to the composed Sophia you're used to seeing.
Sophia, you're really getting into it, aren't you?
I can't help it, it's too good. I need more.
Hands move on their own, grabbing another handful of fries, her belly pressing further against the table as she leans in, her legs spread wide to accommodate her growing middle. The trance she's in is both erotic and overwhelming, a sight you never expected to witness.
Just get it over with. This is it. I'm going to finish this, no matter what.
Sophia's determination is stronger than ever, and she attacks the first burger with surprising vigor. But by the time she's halfway through the third Big Mac, her pace slows dramatically.
You're almost there, Sophia. Just a little more.
No, I can't, my stomach. It's too much.
Her frustration is palpable as she struggles to continue. She tries to push herself, but in the end, she can't make it past the halfway point of the third burger.
This is impossible. How does anyone do this? I'm not going to make it.
Defeated, Sophia pushes the tray away, unable to go any further. Sophia leans back in her seat, glaring at the uneaten food as if it's personally insulted her. Despite her frustration, there's a part of her that seems to be rethinking her approach to food challenges.
It's okay, Sophia. You gave it a good shot.
Sophia huffs, clearly not satisfied with her performance, but she doesn't argue. The super meal challenge might have beaten her this time, but there's no telling what she might try next. Sophia eats with visible enthusiasm, her movements quicker. Her face shows satisfaction, but also a touch of frustration with the pressure. Sophia's eating is frantic, with large bites and a strained expression. She looks frustrated, but also shows a reluctant satisfaction. Sophia eats with urgency, her movements hurried and her expression reflecting a mix of irritation and reluctant contentment. Sophia's eating is frantic, with large bites and a strained expression. She looks in front of her. Sophia sits with a croissant and a latte in front of her. She scrolls her phone with one hand while idly tearing off pieces of the croissant with the other, popping each bite into her mouth without much thought. Her blouse is noticeably snugger, the fabric pressing against the gentle swell of her belly as she sits back in her chair.
Why are people so obsessed with health tips? as if anyone really follows them.
She scoffs, though her tone carries a playful edge as she takes another sip of her latte. Crumbs litter her lap, and she brushes them away with a sigh, her shirt lifting slightly to reveal her softening midsection.
Seems like you're enjoying that croissant, though.
It's just a little treat. Nothing wrong with that.
Her words are casual, but the speed at which the croissant disappears tells a different story. She glances at the empty plate with a faint smirk, almost as if surprised at herself before returning to her phone.
What? I didn't think I'd bend the seat.
Sophia
What? I didn't think I'd. How dare they not have my size? This is a travesty.
Sophia stood at the counter, glaring at the store clerk with a mixture of disbelief and anger. The clerk, with an apologetic expression, explained that the store didn't carry her new size. Her normally composed demeanor cracked as she argued with the clerk, demanding they check again. Her voice rose in pitch, a clear sign of her frustration, as she refused to accept the reality of her expanding figure. Despite the clerk's attempts to appease her, Sophia's indignation only grew, her pride wounded by the thought of not fitting into the store's offerings. Sophia stands beside the scale, scowling down at it like it just insulted her directly. She exhales, brushing her hair back with one hand as she steps on, heels clicking, though her balance is slightly thrown off by the bounce of her generous thighs. Wait, kg.
HMPH, I don't care, not one bit.
Her pencil skirt is now a war zone. The fabric strains against her hips, pulled to its absolute limit across her wide, pillowy ass. The lower hem can barely stay down as her thighs eat up what little stretch it has left. She shifts one leg and the entire skirt groans audibly. Her belly is still small, a soft pooch at most, but everything below it has bloomed dramatically. Her gait has transformed into a slow, exaggerated sway, each step causing her to bounce subtly. She turns her head, pretending to not enjoy your reaction, despite the heavy blush spreading across her cheeks.
Pervert. My figure has changed, but it only proves how well I can afford to indulge in life's best offerings. Not everyone can live like this.
Sophia's once sleek figure has grown notably rounder, with soft curves filling out her professional attire. Her pencil skirt is stretched taut across her wider hips, barely retaining its intended shape. The waistband presses into her growing belly, which now softly rounds out in front of her, a far cry from the sharp lines she used to have. Her belt, while still positioned at her waist, is beginning to lose its hold as her midsection continues to expand. Despite these changes, Sophia tries to maintain her usual poise, though there's a hint of unease in her stiff posture. Her belly now forms a soft, distinct bulge. She groans.
Ugh, if you mention it, I'm kicking you.
Sophia eats more quickly now, her face reflecting both satisfaction and the growing pressure in her belly.
I'm feeling it now, but it's too good to stop.
Sophia strides confidently into the cafe, her usual poised air slightly offset by the fact that her figure has noticeably widened. Her hips sway with a bit more weight, her backside filling out her designer pants to the limit. She scans the room before pulling out a chair at her favorite table, but pauses for a moment.
Maybe I should.
Her voice trails off as she eyes the seat skeptically, realizing that her body has grown just enough that one chair might not be sufficient anymore. With a small sigh, she pulls over a second chair, positioning it beside the first. The slight widening of her hips and backside is still relatively new, and you can tell that even Sophia, with her usual aloofness, is starting to notice the changes. She sits down, her thighs spreading across the two seats, taking up more space than she's used to. She crosses her legs with a delicate motion, though even that seems a bit harder with her growing thighs.
I've decided to buy this cafe. But before I make it official, I simply have to try everything on the menu. You know, for business reasons.
Business reasons, huh?
You can't help but chuckle as the waitstaff brings over an assortment of plates, each dish filled with rich, indulgent food. Sophia doesn't hesitate for a second, her delicate hands reaching for a pastry, then another, her appetite seemingly endless. You suggest that Sophia try the heavier meals first, noting the more substantial dishes laid out in front of her.
Why not start with the heavier meals? They'll give you a real sense of what's on offer here.
Sophia raises an eyebrow but nods, picking up a fork and diving into a thick, creamy pasta dish. The sauce clings to each noodle as she takes large bites, her pace surprisingly quick for someone who normally eats with such careful delicacy. As she works her way through the heavier dishes, her stomach starts to round out more noticeably. Her growing appetite pushes her to finish plate after plate, her once pristine blouse now straining slightly against her belly as it fills with rich, calorie-laden food.
This might be more filling than I thought.
She laughs softly, though it's clear she's already beginning to feel the weight of her indulgence pressing against her. You encourage Sophia to keep going, knowing full well that the sight of her growing belly and widening body is part of the experience.
You've still got a long way to go, Sophia. You said you were going to try everything, right?
Sophia narrows her eyes playfully at you but picks up another forkful of food, determined to meet her goal. Bite after bite, she continues to indulge, her stomach growing rounder with each passing moment. Her belly now presses heavily against the waistband of her pants, clearly overfilled, while her thighs spread even more across the chairs. Her delicate posture begins to falter as she leans back, her hands resting on her swollen stomach.
Maybe just one more bite.
Her voice is a little breathless as she picks up another piece of cake, her belly now visibly stuffed to the point of discomfort. She bites into it with a satisfied hum, her body clearly enjoying the indulgence even as her stomach groans in protest. With the meal finally finished, Sophia sits back in her chairs, her hands resting on her heavily distended belly. Her blouse strains against her middle, and her thighs spread wide across the seats, her once impeccable posture now replaced by the reality of her overindulgence.
Well, I think I've tried enough for today.
She glances down at her swollen belly, clearly overstuffed, and lets out a soft sigh of satisfaction.
I think it's safe to say this cafe has some of the best food around.
Her body might be struggling, but it's clear she's enjoying the results.
You watch as Sophia stands up slowly, her legs shaking slightly as she adjusts her balance. Her hands move to her swollen stomach, and she lets out a soft groan, clearly feeling the effects of her indulgence.
Well, I suppose I should head home. But maybe I'll come back tomorrow. There's still a few things I didn't try.
If she keeps this up, she'll need more than just 2 chairs next time.
You walk her out of the cafe, her hips brushing against the doorframe as she leaves, her body now noticeably wider than before. As she heads down the street, you can't help but imagine how much more space she'll take up the next time you see her.
You'd hardly understand. But when you live like me, gaining a little weight is a mark of true luxury. Only those who can truly indulge can look like this.
After a meal, Sophia's belly swells visibly, pressing out against the fabric of her skirt. Her stomach, now more prominent, causes the skirt to ride up slightly, revealing just how tight the fabric has become. Her tights are starting to show signs of strain around her thighs, with small ladders creeping along the seams. Her belt, in an effort to keep her outfit together, digs into her softened waist, creating a noticeable divide between her upper body and her bloated stomach. Sophia's usual aura of control seems to slip as she adjusts her clothing uncomfortably, her body pressing against every inch of her once fitted outfit. Your fingers press into the plushness, and she exhales, eyes fluttering.
Ugh, just don't be weird about it.
Sophia's once composed exterior is cracking as she forces down another bite, visibly struggling with her overly full stomach, but clearly unwilling to stop before finishing.
This discomfort is familiar now. Luxury comes with its price. But I won't shy away from savoring every bite, no matter the consequences.
Stuffed beyond her limit, Sophia's belly presses out dramatically, making her struggle to contain it within her already strained clothes. Her pencil skirt no longer looks professional, instead clinging awkwardly to her hips and forcing her to tug it down frequently. The belt, now sitting just under her bust due to the bulging mass below, is more of a nuisance than a fashion statement. Her tights have laddered beyond repair, practically begging to be discarded. Sophia looks distinctly uncomfortable, her usually flawless demeanor cracking as her overstuffed belly dominates her figure, making even standing straight a challenge. A deep sigh escapes her as your fingers knead slow circles.
I swear, if I catch you enjoying this, I'll make you regret it. Do they really expect me to carry all of this by myself?
Sophia stood at the checkout counter with her arms crossed, looking disdainfully at the large number of shopping bags. Her full hips and rounder thighs had made walking harder, and she was clearly not pleased at the thought of having to carry all the bags herself. She eventually relented, picking up the bags, but her slower movements showed her body's increasing difficulty handling the load. Her thighs brushed together as she walked, causing a faint chafing that only added to her growing frustration. Sophia grimaced, clearly unused to the strain her fuller body put on her shopping excursions, but she pushed through with her trademark determination.
Why does everything in here feel so tight today?
Sophia's usual elegant strides had slowed as she navigated the crowded mall. Her fuller hips and thighs now swayed with more weight, causing her to brush against displays and other shoppers with a look of irritation. Her clothes were noticeably tighter, especially around her midsection, with her once perfectly tailored designer outfit now snug around her expanding curves. She discreetly tugs at her waistband, trying to adjust her clothes without drawing attention, but the discomfort was clear in her face. Despite the small struggle, her pride remained intact, and she continued her shopping with her usual air of sophistication, though you could tell the extra weight was beginning to take its toll. You spot Sophia again at W.C. Donald's, but this time, there's no hesitation in her movements. She's seated in the corner booth, trays of food surrounding her, and her once elegant posture is now completely relaxed, almost lazy. Her outfit is tighter than ever, her blouse straining across her chest and belly. Her thighs are spilling over the sides of the bench seat, and her skirt's waistband is visibly digging into her soft flesh. Despite this, she's completely absorbed in her meal.
I don't know what it is, but I just can't get enough of this.
Her voice is low, and there's no trace of the aloofness she used to carry. She takes greedy bites of a burger, her cheeks puffing out as she chews, savoring every moment. Her belly is now visibly rounding out, pressing against the table.
Sophia, you've really embraced this place, huh?
Embrace, huh? I suppose I have. It's just so satisfying.
She leans back, letting out a soft groan of pleasure as she rubs her bloated stomach. Her belly bulges heavily against her clothes, her body swaying slightly as she shifts in her seat, trying to get comfortable despite her clear fullness.
I know I shouldn't, but I need more.
Her hands move quickly, grabbing another burger from the tray. She bites into it with a look of bliss on her face, completely lost in her indulgence. The table groans as her belly presses harder against it, her swollen figure barely contained by her now too small clothes.
This is going to be the last time I do something so absurd. Let's just get this over with.
Sophia sighs as she picks up the first Big Mac, taking deliberate, almost graceful bites. She works through the first two burgers with a mix of frustration and reluctance, her larger frame showing signs of strain as her stomach fills up.
You're doing great, Sophia. You're almost there.
Don't patronize me. This is ridiculous, and I hate every moment of it.
Despite her words, Sophia pushes herself through the third burger, her pace slow but steady. By the time she starts the fourth, she's visibly uncomfortable, her belly pressing tightly against her designer clothes.
This is intolerable, but I won't lose.
Her face flushes with frustration as she forces down the last bites, her belly now swollen and taut, pushing against her once perfectly fitted outfit. Sophia drinks the soda in quick gulps, her brow furrowed with determination as she finally finishes.
Ugh, there I did it, satisfied.
Sophia glares at the empty tray, her swollen belly making her shift uncomfortably in her seat. She's clearly disgusted with the situation, but her pride won't let her admit defeat.
You did it, Sophia. That's impressive.
I know, now, get me out of here before I explode.
Sophia tries to stand, her overstuffed belly making it awkward, but she manages to maintain her composure despite her obvious discomfort. Sophia stands beside the scale, scowling down at it like it just insulted her directly. She exhales, brushing her hair back with one hand as she steps on, heels clicking, though her balance is slightly thrown off by the bounce of her generous thighs. You enter the cafe, the familiar smell of pastries and tea filling the air. Sophia is already seated at a table, but this time, something's different. She's noticeably larger than the last time you saw her. The once delicate, slim figure has been replaced by expansive, soft curves. Her hips spill over the edges of two chairs she's perched on, and her belly presses against the table as she sips from her teacup with a confident, almost smug smile.
There you are, I ordered us some tea. Sit down.
You take a seat across from her, watching as she shifts in her chairs. Despite her composed demeanor, the two chairs beneath her creak ominously, struggling to support her growing frame. Sophia's stomach is now a massive round dome pushing firmly against the table, her chest heavy and prominent. Her thighs spread wide, pressing tightly against the sides of the chairs. It's clear that even two chairs are struggling to hold her immense weight.
Looks like the chairs are a bit small for you now.
TCH? These chairs are ridiculous, cheap, flimsy things.
She brushes off your comment, clearly annoyed by the situation, but unwilling to admit the issue is her ever-expanding body. Before you can say anything more, a loud, unmistakable crack fills the air. Sophia's expression falters for a split second as the chair beneath her gives way with a loud crunch, collapsing under her weight. A moment later, the second chair follows suit, leaving her seated on the floor, surrounded by the shattered remains of the chairs. There's a brief silence as Sophia shifts on the floor, her massive hips spreading even further across the ground, her belly pressing outward as she tries to regain her composure.
I guess the chairs couldn't handle all of you anymore.
You can't resist a smirk, but Sophia doesn't seem amused. Still, rather than showing embarrassment, she lets out a frustrated huff, adjusting herself with difficulty on the ground.
These chairs are just poorly made. It's time for an upgrade.
She slowly pushes herself up, gripping the table for support as her massive form heaves upward. Once she's standing, she brushes off her skirt, her belly bulging out dramatically in front of her.
This cafe is outdated. I'm planning a full renovation. Everything will be made to accommodate more generous figures.
Generous figures, huh? Planning for the future, I see.
Of course. This place is mine now, and I refuse to be limited by flimsy furniture.
She places a hand on her hip, the movement causing her enormous belly and hips to jiggle slightly, her body now a testament to indulgence.
Once I'm done with it, this cafe will be the perfect place to relax comfortably.
She pauses, eyeing the pastries and tea on the table. Her hand absent-mindedly rubs her massive belly, a small smirk returning to her lips.
But first, there's no sense in letting this tea go to waste. Have some, and while you're at it, order more. The menu will be expanded just like everything else.
You chuckle as she motions for you to sit back down. Despite the crushed chairs, Sophia remains in control, her confidence growing along with her size. You decide to play along, encouraging her to order more food. The menu is packed with rich desserts and Sophia doesn't hold back, ordering enough for both of you, but mostly for herself.
I suppose it wouldn't hurt to indulge a bit more. After all, this will be my cafe soon. I should know the menu inside and out.
The plates start arriving, piled high with pastries, cakes, and other treats. Sophia digs in, her appetite insatiable as she devours each dish, her belly expanding even more with each bite. By the time she's finished, her stomach is an enormous, tightly stretched ball pushing forcefully against the table. She leans back, satisfied but clearly feeling the immense pressure in her gut.
That was worth it.
She lets out a soft, contented sigh, resting a hand on her bloated belly, clearly proud of both her meal and her growing size. As the afternoon continues, you both finish your tea and food, Sophia's form even more pronounced as she leans back, her belly pressing into the table and spilling onto her lap. Despite the broken chairs and her growing size, Sophia seems content, already planning the future of the cafe with her ever-expanding figure in mind. You can't help but wonder what her plans for the cafe will lead to, but one thing's for sure, Sophia isn't slowing down anytime soon.
I can hardly move, but the satisfaction was worth it. This body, it's simply a testament to living in the lap of luxury, no matter the consequences.
Sophia's body is at its limit, her overstuffed belly pushing her outfit to the breaking point. Her pencil skirt has ridden up so far that her stomach fully peeks out from beneath it, bulging unapologetically over her waistband. The belt, now sitting uselessly under her bust, serves no purpose other than adding to the absurdity of her situation. Her belly dominates her frame, swollen to the point where it presses against everything around her. making even the slightest movement uncomfortable. Sophia's usual air of superiority has completely faded as she struggles to manage the sheer size and fullness of her belly. Her once perfect posture reduced to a stiff, awkward stance as she tries to navigate the room. A deep slosh resonates beneath your palms. She gasps, face burning.
Ugh, this is the worst.
Sophia's plush figure dominates the small cafe chair, her belly resting against the table as she scrolls her phone. A half-finished iced latte sits beside several empty plates, crumbs and smears of cream, a testament to her indulgence. She shifts uncomfortably, the chair creaking softly under her weight.
I need to stop reading these diet posts. They're exhausting.
She takes a long sip from her latte, her lips curling into a faint smile as the sweetness hits her tongue. Her blouse stretches tightly over her chest and belly, the seams straining slightly as she leans back with a soft sigh.
Maybe you should start a blog, Living Large with Sophia. You'd have plenty of material.
Haha, very funny. I prefer to enjoy life without the commentary, thanks.
Despite her retort, she picks up another pastry, her fingers sticky with icing as she takes a bite. Her growing size only enhances the indulgent image she now projects, her once aloof demeanor softened by her obvious enjoyment. Her belly is stretched beyond reason, each slow rub making her squirm.
Oof, don't press so hard, you idiot. I don't need your help, I can manage.
Sophia's confidence took a hit as she attempted to navigate the crowded mall with multiple shopping bags and her newly more cumbersome body. Her hips had become much wider, and her belly now slightly pressed against the waistband of her designer pants. As she tried to balance the bags, a particularly awkward twist caused one to slip from her grasp. Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment as a nearby store clerk rushed to help, but she quickly dismissed them, insisting she could handle it herself. Despite her determination, Sophia's struggle was clear, her pride preventing her from asking for help, even as her curvier body continued to challenge her. Sophia steps into the boutique dressing room, a heavy sigh escaping her lips. She glances at the tights folded on the ottoman and then at her reflection in the mirror. Her once narrow frame has completely vanished, replaced by a plush, generous figure. Her immense thighs press together firmly, and her backside swells outward with such prominence that her panties are nearly swallowed by the soft flesh, only a thin band visible at the top. Determined, she picks up the tights and starts sliding them over her feet. The material stretches audibly as it climbs her calves, already straining against the plushness of her legs. When the fabric reaches her thighs, the real battle begins. Sophia pulls hard, her knuckles whitening as the tights refuse to budge past the halfway point.
This is absurd.
Her voice is sharp, though her cheeks flush with the effort. She shifts her stance, her thighs jiggling side to side with every motion. With a grunt, she gives a powerful tug, managing to pull the waistband slightly higher, but the tights stop dead just below her backside. The sheer size of her immense rear defies every attempt to contain it. Sophia's arms strain as she tries again, her fingers digging into the waistband and pulling upward. Her backside wobbles heavily with her movements, the soft flesh spilling over her panties as they are almost entirely swallowed. Despite her best efforts, the tights won't budge past the swell of her hips and his cheeks.
Fine, I didn't want to wear these stupid things anyway.
Her tone is defiant, but the slight quiver in her voice betrays her frustration. She tosses the tights aside with a huff, smoothing her hands over her wobbling backside as if to regain her composure. For the first time, she feels truly defeated in the dressing room, her sophistication giving way to an unmistakable vulnerability. A low, reluctant groan escapes her.
HHNGH. I hate how much this helps.
When you enter WC Donald's, your eyes are immediately drawn to Sophia. She's seated at the largest booth, her body sprawling across the bench as if she's completely given up on any pretense of maintaining her old, elegant composure. Her once expensive clothes are stretched to the limit, her blouse barely buttoned over her massive belly, which spills out onto her lap. Her thighs are thick and soft, pressing tightly against the booth's edges, and her skirt looks like it's ready to burst at the seams. Sophia is surrounded by food, wrappers and empty containers scattered around her. She's absent-mindedly eating from a pile of fries in front of her, her face flushed and glistening with sweat from the sheer amount she's consumed.
I don't know why, but I just can't stop.
Her voice is slurred, thick with both exhaustion and pleasure. Her belly is swollen, pressing up against the table, and she's shifting uncomfortably, her legs spread wide to make room for her massive midsection.
Sophia, are you okay? You've really gone all out, haven't you?
I know, but I just can't stop. It's too good. I need it.
Her hands shake as she reaches for another burger, her movements slow and sluggish from the sheer weight of her bloated body. She bites into the burger, moaning softly as the flavors hit her taste buds, her overstuffed belly now pushing heavily against the table. The bench creaks under her weight, and Sophia's face is a mix of bliss and discomfort as she tries to shift her massive body. Her belly rests heavily on her thighs, and her clothes are practically bursting at the seams, but she doesn't seem to care anymore.
More. I need more.
Her eyes glaze over as she continues eating, completely consumed by her insatiable hunger. It's clear she's past the point of caring about appearances. Her only focus is the food in front of her and the overwhelming pleasure it brings.
I've become quite ample, haven't I? But trust me, it's still a reflection of my refined lifestyle.
Sophia's body has thickened considerably, and her growing belly has led her to abandon tights altogether, unable to contain her thickened thighs. Her skirt rides higher now, just barely managing to cover her expanding lower half. The belt, while still wrapped around her waist, now sits under her bust, purely decorative and serving no functional purpose. Though her stomach isn't full, the soft roundness of her belly is ever present, resting gently over the waistband. Sophia carries herself with as much dignity as she can muster, though there's an undeniable strain in her movements as her heavier frame starts to affect her grace. Sophia huffs as she enters, every step accompanied by the rhythmic whisper of her thick thighs brushing together. Her skirt barely survives the journey to the scale, clinging like a second skin to the plush curves of her dramatically widened hips. She tries to step up without grunting, but the motion forces her thighs to part slightly, revealing just how much mass she's now balancing behind her. Wait, kg.
The scale's obviously broken.
Her ass is huge now, high, round, and impossibly full. It stretches her designer clothes so aggressively that you can see the faint imprint of her underwear pressed into the fabric. Her belly has developed a soft pooch, but it's her lower half that's run away with indulgence. She wiggles slightly, and her skirt shifts up a full 2 inches, the hem stuck just beneath her cheeks.
Stop looking like that.
Sophia tries to sit on the mat but struggles to lower herself down due to the sheer size of her belly and thighs. Her hips now spread wide, and as she finally plops down, the mat creaks under her weight.
This is impossible.
Her belly now fully engulfs her legs, and as she tries to do a sit-up, it barely budges. Each attempt ends with her grunting in frustration as the weight of her body pins her to the floor. After a single, pathetic attempt, she gives up entirely, lying flat on the mat, gasping for breath as her belly rises and falls dramatically.
This gym is a joke.
Sophia rolls onto her side, barely able to get up without help, and slowly drags herself to her feet, her face red from exertion.
I don't know why I agreed to this again, but fine. Let's just get it over with.
Sophia starts the challenge with practiced grace, though it's clear that the sheer amount of food before her is daunting. Her larger size allows her to get through the first 3 burgers more quickly than before, but by the time she reaches the 4th, her pace slows to a crawl.
You're almost there, Sophia. Just a little more.
I know, don't remind me.
She glares at the food but continues, forcing the last bites of the 4th Big Mac into her mouth, her stomach visibly swollen and tight. She winces as her body protests, but she doesn't stop.
This is humiliating.
Sophia picks up the soda, drinking it slowly as her belly bulges even more, stretching the fabric of her expensive clothes to their limits. Her posture remains as poised as possible, though the strain is obvious as she finishes.
Finally, there, it's done.
Sophia leans back, her hands resting on her massively bloated stomach, breathing heavily but still trying to maintain an air of superiority.
You did it again, Sophia. Impressive.
Of course I did, but don't expect me to do this again, ever.
Sophia glares at the empty tray with disdain, her overstuffed body now pressing heavily into the seat. She shifts uncomfortably, clearly disgusted by the bloated feeling but too proud to admit defeat.
Ugh, my belly feels like a massive weight in my lap. No more.
A deep slosh resonates beneath your palms. She gasps, face burning.
Ugh, this is the worst. I've become quite the connoisseur of indulgence, haven't I? Each bite feels like a reward for my success. And honestly, I don't mind the extra weight. It's just another sign of my refined tastes.
Sophia's transformation has reached an almost exaggerated state, her backside now impossibly wide and thick, spreading out in a massive, jiggling expanse that dominates her short frame. Her lower half has taken on a life of its own, each cheek ballooning outward, wobbling with every step she takes. Her belly has grown so large that it hangs heavily in front of her, pressing down onto her thick thighs, completely covering the tops of them. The way her gut folds over her legs adds to her bulk, making her appear even rounder from the front, while from behind, her ass sways and ripples dramatically with each motion. Despite the sheer size of her lower half, her breasts remain small, a noticeable contrast that only emphasizes how much her figure has changed. Her short stature makes everything about her seem even wider, her enormous hips and ass stretching out far beyond her frame. Each step is a slow, deliberate movement as her immense backside wobbles uncontrollably behind her. Sophia waddles into the bathroom, hips swaying like pendulums with each effortful step. Her walk is slower now, and her thighs force her feet into a wider stance than she wants to admit. Sophia waddles into the bathroom. Her skirt is a lost cause, unzipped at the side and pinned just to keep it from bursting off. She steps onto the scale with a delicate wobble. Wait, kg.
Ugh, disgusting. This is why I need a new maid.
Her belly presses softly outward now, a plush curve that rounds beneath her blouse. But below, her thighs and ass have swelled massively, easily twice the width of her shoulders. Her movements cause her skirt to shift and stretch, rising up to reveal soft, jiggling flesh beneath. She bites her lip and glares at the number again.
Fine, maybe. Maybe I need a bigger mirror too.
She groans, shifting her thickened thighs.
HHH. Whatever, Jay, just get it over with.
Sophia looks almost offended by the amount of food still in front of her, her swollen belly clearly protesting each bite.
I really shouldn't, but I suppose a little more won't kill me.
The grand reopening of Sophia's cafe is nothing short of spectacular. The once cozy atmosphere has been transformed into a larger-than-life indulgent paradise, with oversized seating, tables groaning under the weight of calorie-dense foods, and a menu filled with portions that could feed entire families. Sophia stands proudly at the center, dressed to impress in a sleek outfit that highlights her new, massive figure. Her belly swells out in front of her, and her hips barely fit into her custom chair, which is reinforced for someone of her current size.
I'm so glad you could make it to the grand reopening. This is what I've been working toward, creating a cafe that's perfect for indulgence, for truly enjoying life's pleasures.
He gestures to the lavish spread before her, stacks of cakes, trays of buttery pastries, and massive shakes with whipped cream overflowing the cups.
She's definitely succeeded in making this cafe a paradise for overeating.
Sophia sits down, or rather, attempts to sit down. Her hips spill over the sides of the reinforced chair, and her belly presses against the edge of the table, but she pays no mind. Instead, she grins as she surveys the massive portions laid out in front of her. Without a moment's hesitation, Sophia digs into the feast, her appetite seemingly endless as she stuffs herself with the rich, calorie-laden food.
Everything's perfect, don't you think? The food, the seating. I made sure everything could handle my size and even more.
She's really testing that claim.
Sophia's belly swells even further as she eats, the waistband of her outfit straining as her gut pushes against it. Each bite she takes causes her body to jiggle slightly, her thighs pressing into the sides of the chair as she shovels more food into her mouth. You lean forward, a smirk on your face as you slide another plate toward her.
You've done an amazing job with this place, Sophia, but don't you think you should really push it to the limit? After all, what's the point of all these massive portions if you don't indulge?
Sophia chuckles, her eyes gleaming with pride as she grabs the plate and shovels a massive slice of cake into her mouth.
You're right. I designed all of this for indulgence, so I might as well fully enjoy it.
Her belly groans in response as she continues to eat, each bite pushing her body to its limits. Her hips spread further, threatening to overtake the reinforced chair, and her belly begins to press heavily against the table.
She's really pushing herself now.
You watch as Sophia devours plate after plate, her belly swelling until it nearly presses into her lap. The reinforced chair creaks under her weight, but she doesn't stop, clearly lost in the pleasure of eating. As Sophia continues to eat, the cafe around her seems to shrink in comparison to her growing size. Her belly has now swelled to the point where it dominates the space in front of her, pressing heavily into the table and forcing her to lean back slightly in her seat.
I think that's enough for now, though I'll have to test out the rest of the menu later.
Sophia rubs her distended belly, her hand gliding over the taut fabric of her outfit, which is now stretched to its limits. She looks completely satisfied, her cheeks flushed with pleasure from the indulgence.
She's definitely proven just how indulgent this cafe can be.
The cafe is in good hands, though it's clear that Sophia has designed it to accommodate her ever-growing appetite and size. You watch as she tries to push herself up from the chair, her body wobbling slightly as she stands.
Thanks for coming. Next time, maybe I'll let you test out the new menu with me.
With that, Sophia waddles away, her belly leading the way as she heads into the back of the cafe to rest after her indulgent feast. You work slow, steady circles, feeling the tension ease. She exhales sharply.
Oh, okay, fine. Jay, just keep going. I might be stuffed to my absolute limit, but it's hard to care. Each bite was worth every inch I've gained. My body is a reflection of my desires, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Sophia's figure has become a study in extremes. Her backside is now an enormous, jiggling mass of flesh, each cheek spreading out so far that it seems to have a gravitational pull of its own. The soft, doughy expanse of her ass wobbles with even the smallest movement, her hips so wide that they sway dramatically as she waddles, taking up far more space than ever before. Her belly, now a huge, sagging mound, rests heavily on her thighs, nearly covering them completely as it hangs down. Folds of her stomach sway with each slow step, pressing against her thick legs and emphasizing the immense weight she carries in front. From behind, her ass balloons out to such an extreme degree that it almost seems to dwarf the rest of her body, her short stature making every inch of her look even more exaggerated. Her small breasts now seem almost out of place on her figure, a stark contrast to the overwhelming size of her belly and hips. The way her wide hips and massive ass dominate her body makes her appear even shorter, the sheer breadth of her form drawing attention to her ever-expanding backside. Every movement she makes is a struggle, her body jiggling uncontrollably with every labored step.
My poor belly is aching. I went way too far.
She's practically gasping for breath between bites, her tight clothes straining against her bloated belly. Every bite feels like torture, but Sophia grimaces and keeps going.
I should have stopped, but here I am.
Each bite is an ordeal, her fork trembling as she forces down another mouthful. Her stomach audibly groans and she groans with it.
This is unbearable.
You work slow, steady circles, feeling the tension ease. She exhales sharply.
Oh, okay, fine. Jay, just keep going. I'm starting to enjoy this fullness more than I expected. It's almost intoxicating, having all the luxuries I want and indulging until I'm completely satisfied, no matter how much I expand.
Sophia's lower body has become a spectacle of indulgence. Her once petite frame is now dwarfed by the size of her rear, each butt cheek swelling to the size of an overstuffed pillow, rippling with every small shift of her weight. Her hips have become so wide that they spill out to the sides, making her appear even broader than she is tall. Her belly hangs low now, sagging heavily over her thick thighs, its weight pressing down on her lap whenever she sits. The soft, squishy folds of her stomach jiggle as she moves, brushing against her legs with every waddle. The sheer size of her backside makes it difficult for her to find balance, her short stature only adding to the impression that her body is almost too much for her to handle. Her breasts, still small in comparison, are almost lost against the overwhelming size of her belly and hips. The contrast between her massive lower half and her modest chest only serves to highlight just how much weight she's gained below her waist. Her once dainty figure now completely dominated by her ever-expanding ass. Sophia looks over the spread with her usual poise, a small smile playing at her lips as she begins the challenge. She eats methodically, each bite calm and controlled, as she moves through the burgers and fries with remarkable ease. Her stomach starts to press out slightly as she reaches the last burger, rounding gently against her blouse. By the time she finishes the fifth burger, her belly is visibly full, pressing against the waistband of her pants. She takes a moment to adjust her posture, letting out a soft sigh as she leans back with a contented smile. Despite the fullness settling in her belly, Sophia motions for a milkshake to wash it all down. She sips the creamy drink with an indulgent smile, her hands resting on her slightly swollen stomach as she enjoys the last of the challenge with ease.
A little something sweet to finish it off. Perfect.
Sophia's gaze is serene as she relaxes in her seat, clearly pleased with herself for completing the challenge and savoring the last few sips of her milkshake as her full belly rests comfortably beneath her.
I don't need help. I can handle it just fine.
Sophia insisted on carrying an armful of luxury shopping bags herself as she made her way through the bustling mall. Each step had become a bit more of a challenge, as her wide hips swayed and occasionally bumped against displays, forcing her to take a more measured pace. Her belly now noticeably pressed against her high-waisted designer pants, and her thighs rubbed together as she walked, causing her to adjust her stance. She tried to hold her head high, though her breaths were coming a bit heavier with each step. As she paused to catch her breath, one of her bags slipped from her grasp, its contents spilling out onto the floor. A nearby store clerk rushed to assist her, but she waved them away, cheeks flushed with both effort and irritation.
I said I can manage.
Even as she struggled to bend down to retrieve the items, her belly pressed against her thighs, making it hard to reach down. Begrudgingly, she allowed the clerk to help while she gathered the rest of her bags, her pride bruised but her determination unyielding. Sophia enters the dressing room with a visible reluctance, her arms carrying a pair of tights that she knows are a lost cause. Her reflection looms in the mirror, her figure now utterly unrecognizable. Her backside dominates her silhouette, swelling outwards in heavy, wobbling curves that quiver with even the slightest motion. Her panties are almost completely swallowed by the immense softness, with only a small strip peeking out at the waistband. She lowers herself into a seated position, her hips spilling over the sides of the ottoman as she breathes heavily. Sliding the tights over her feet, she begins the impossible task of pulling them up her legs. The material fights back every step of the way, stretching precariously as it hugs her calves and thighs like a second skin.
You will fit, you will.
Her voice is sharp and clipped, though her breathing grows heavier with every motion. When the tights reach her lower thighs, she has to push her hands deep into her ass cheeks just to try and pull the fabric higher. Her fingers press into the soft flesh, creating ripples that travel through her backside with every push. Sophia groans softly, shifting her stance and twisting her body as she tries to maneuver the tights over her immense rear. The waistband creaks ominously as it stretches over the lower curve of her ass cheeks, but it refuses to go any further. Her movements slow as her body grows fatigued, her chest heaving as she struggles to sustain the effort. Finally, with one last tug, the tights give way, not upward but with a loud tear down the middle. Sophia freezes, her hands still clutching the shredded fabric. A deep flush spreads across her face as she realizes the extent of the damage.
Enough, I'll just have some custom ones made next time.
She tosses the ruined tights aside with a huff, her hands smoothing over her wobbling hips and backside. Standing in the dressing room, she glares at her reflection, her pride bruised but her resolve intact. The W.C. Donald's doors hiss open with a mechanical chime, and the scent of grease, salt, and soda hits like a wave. You step inside, light on your feet and effortlessly navigating the lunch crowd. Behind you, however, is another story entirely. Sophia follows with a slow, deliberate sway. Her massive, shelf-like ass shifts dramatically beneath her skin-tight pencil skirt, each step punctuated by the soft, rhythmic clap of her plush cheeks pressing together and rebounding with weighty resistance. She pauses beside you, one hip already brushing the edge of the booth's table.
Ugh, this again.
It looks cozy.
Sophia glares sideways at the booth, then down at her wide lower half. Her hips are monumental now, thick and heavy, with deep curves that spread behind her in a soft, wobbling arc.
You sit first. I need to calculate my trajectory.
You slide into the booth easily, loaded truck. Her massive rear grazes the edge of the seat, then presses, then asterisk spills asterisk, her skirt riding higher as she starts to wedge herself in, like an overloaded truck. A low, soft asterisk creak asterisk echoes through the booth as the seat begins to bend beneath her spreading weight.
Shut up, don't say anything.
I wasn't going to.
F1P. Her ass settles in with finality. Plush flesh spills over the edge of the booth seat, her wide hips stretching across most of the bench and about halfway into yours.
I'm in, kind of.
Her thigh presses firmly against yours. You're practically pinned to your side of the booth, the soft, warm swell of her ass crowding your space with every fidget and shift. Sophia sighs, brushing a lock of hair behind her ear, her face faintly flushed.
This booth is clearly defective.
Or maybe your cheat days are catching up to you.
Do you want to eat or get flattened?
You grin and grab the tray, 2 cheeseburgers, 1 box of large fries, and a soda with 2 straws. You have to angle it awkwardly on the table to make room between the two of you. Sophia picks at a fry with exaggerated delicacy, though her other hand subtly adjusts her waistband, which is visibly digging into the soft dome of her belly. Her figure is exaggerated now, impossibly pear-shaped, her lower body wide, thick and heavy, while her upper half still holds its sharp fashionista lines. She takes a bite of her burger, then leans back slightly, and instantly regrets it as her ass presses deeper into the booth.
MMF, okay, backing up is not an option.
You laugh softly, Sophia pouts and shovels another fry into her mouth. The booth creaks again, her hips now fully press into your thigh, pillowy, warm, practically swallowing your side. Your own flat backside feels like a pencil mark in comparison.
You're taking up like 75% of the booth.
If you had a real ass, we'd be 50/50. But since you don't, I claim this territory.
She wiggles slightly in place, her thick ass shifting with an audible creak, practically bouncing against you. The booth vibrates beneath the effort. You just shake your head, sipping from the soda with a faint blush. Sophia leans over and takes the other straw with a smirk. For a moment, you both sit like that, snug, pressed together, one slim silhouette dwarfed by a wide, plush, heavy queen of indulgence.
This skirt's getting tighter every time we come here.
And the booth's getting smaller.
Then we're both doomed. Better finish the fries. This can't be real. There's no way I'm going up 2 sizes in a month.
Sophia stood in front of a full-length mirror in an upscale boutique, holding a dress that used to fit her impeccably just a few weeks ago. Now, it looked like it belonged in a different section entirely, barely reaching halfway around her widened hips. Once narrow waist had softened, her belly forming a plush curve that pressed against her blouse even as she tried to suck it in. Her thighs had thickened further, causing her legs to press together in a way that's entirely unfamiliar to her. Despite the store associate's gentle suggestion for a much larger size, Sophia's pride was unwavering. She grabbed a dress 1 size up instead, forcing it over her expanding curves. The zipper strained audibly, but she managed to pull it up, looking at herself with a mix of defiance and disbelief.
It fits, see.
But even she couldn't deny that the dress looked more like a second skin than a comfortable fit. Her belly pressing prominently against the fabric and her hips stretching it to its absolute limit. With a slight pout, she finally admitted defeat, nodding reluctantly to the associate to bring out the larger size.
I've become quite the connoisseur of indulgence, haven't I? Each bite feels like a reward for my success. And honestly, I don't mind the extra weight. It's just another sign of my refined tastes.
Sophia occupies most of the corner table, her massive figure spilling over the sides of the chair. Plates and cups form a small fortress around her, a testament to her voracious appetite. She scrolls lazily through her phone, pausing occasionally to adjust her position as the chair groaned audibly beneath her.
Ugh, they really need bigger chairs in this place.
She mutters under her breath, her face flushing with mild irritation as she shifted again. Her belly presses firmly against the table, forcing her to sit back, her thighs spreading wide beneath her. Despite her complaints, she reaches for another pastry, her fingers brushing crumbs away as she bites into it with a satisfied hum.
Looks like you're making the most of your cheat days.
Cheat days, please. It's called living decadently. Some of us have standards.
Her tone is playful, though there's a flicker of embarrassment in her expression as she glanced at the pile of empty dishes. She quickly returned to scrolling, her growing indulgence impossible to ignore as she took another bite, her cheeks tinged pink with both pleasure and self-awareness.
It's not easy to look this fabulous while enjoying the finer things in life. You wouldn't understand the balance of indulgence and elegance that I've mastered.
Sophia's transformation has reached a striking peak. Her lower half has grown to an almost comical size, her enormous backside now resembling a shelf that juts out behind her in defiance of gravity. Each cheek wobbles with even the slightest motion, taking up so much space that doorways now pose a challenge. Gone are the days of her pencil skirts. Her figure now swells within a dress that was never designed to be so form-fitting, its fabric clinging tightly to her vast curves. Her belly has split into two distinct folds, the upper roll resting atop the lower, which droops heavily past her waistline and threatens to hang lower with every additional pound. The weight of her figure is too much for her old heels, long discarded after snapping under her bulk. She now opts for flats, which strain visibly with every slow, deliberate step. The disparity between her narrow shoulders and her gargantuan lower body is impossible to ignore, accentuating her exaggerated pear shape. Her belly is massive, heavy and round, her stuffed stomach pressing forward. She squirms as you touch it, her breath unsteady. Sophia takes a deep breath before starting, her bloated midsection pressing against the table. She chews slowly, her face a mix of reluctance and faint enjoyment.
This is going to take a while.
Her bites are larger now, but her expression reflects growing discomfort. Sophia leans back slightly, trying to relieve the pressure while continuing to eat.
It's getting harder to breathe, but it's too good to stop.
Sophia eyes the stationary bike warily, the small seat clearly not designed for someone of her size. Her belly presses against her waistband as she approaches, and her thighs rub together with every step, creating a soft, rhythmic sound. Determined to make an attempt, she lowers herself onto the bike. The seat nearly disappears beneath her as her massive cheeks engulf it completely. The plush flesh spills over the sides, causing the bike to creak loudly under her weight. She shifts uncomfortably, trying to settle herself, but the sheer size of her hips and backside makes even sitting a challenge.
This is absurd. Who designs these things?
Her belly presses heavily against the handlebars, and her thighs squeeze tightly against the bike's frame as she begins to pedal. Each rotation is a monumental effort, her knees brushing against her swollen midsection, while her massive thighs ripple with every push. Sweat forms on her brow almost immediately as her breathing grows heavier. The bike groans in protest, the machinery straining against her weight. Her pace slows as exhaustion sets in, her legs trembling under the effort. Each pedal stroke becomes more labored, her body jiggling with every motion, the bike struggling to keep up with her sheer size.
Enough of this torture device.
He stops abruptly, the bike letting out a relieved squeak as she dismounts. Her massive cheeks wobble heavily as she pulls herself off the seat, the handlebars creaking under her grip for balance. Her face is flushed, her chest rising and falling as she catches her breath. Sophia waddles toward the exit, her hips swaying dramatically and her belly bouncing slightly with each step. Her muttered complaints about the gym equipment trail behind her, but despite the struggle, her head remains high, her pride intact. Sophia strides into the boutique, though her once confident gait has slowed significantly. Her enormous hips sway with exaggerated motion, her thighs rubbing together audibly with each step, and her belly brushes against the racks as she moves. She pauses in front of a display of designer dresses, her eyes narrowing in appraisal. Her fingers trace over the tags, and she huffs in irritation as she realizes none of the ready-to-wear sizes even come close to accommodating her dramatically curvier figure.
Why is everything here so tiny? Are they making sizes smaller on purpose?
She glances over at a sales associate, motioning them over with a sharp wave of her hand. Her pride, however, barely masks the faint blush on her cheeks as she gestures to a rack of dresses.
Do you have this in a larger size? And by larger, I mean significantly larger.
The associate stammers slightly, their eyes darting between Sophia and the dresses. With an awkward nod, they head to the back to check. Sophia crosses her arms over her chest, causing the soft flesh of her upper arms to press into her sides as she taps her foot impatiently. When the associate returns with a few options, Sophia inspects them critically, her lips pursed. She holds one against her body, the fabric barely stretching across her hips as she frowns.
This will have to do, for now. But honestly, someone should reconsider their sizing standards.
She hands the dress to the associate, turning with as much grace as her expansive frame allows. Her movements are slower now, deliberate, as she makes her way toward the fitting rooms. The store's displays tremble slightly as her hips brush against them, but she seems blissfully unaware of the commotion she's causing.
This is utterly barbaric, but if I must, I'll show you how it's done. Twice.
Sophia glances at the towering trays of food before her, her plump cheeks flushed with a mix of disdain and determination. Her massive hips spill over the sides of the booth, and her expansive belly presses firmly against the table's edge, the task ahead already daunting. She picks up the first burger, her fingers delicate despite the enormity of her task, and takes a graceful bite. The rich, greasy flavor makes her nose scrunch in distaste, but she continues, her pride driving her forward. By the time Sophia finishes the first burger, her pace begins to slow. Her elegant motions become more labored as her belly starts to swell, pressing harder into the edge of the table. She gulps down a soda, her throat working visibly as the carbonated liquid fills her even more.
Disgusting, but I'll finish this round.
The second burger is devoured with less grace, crumbs falling onto her soft chest as her bites grow heavier. Her overfilled stomach starts to protest, audible gurgles escaping as she struggles to fit more food. She pauses between bites, pressing a manicured hand against the curve of her growing belly. Sophia finishes the first round with immense effort, her belly now massive and taut, the designer waistband of her skirt visibly cutting into her soft flesh. She leans back briefly, her breath coming in shallow gasps as she tries to recover.
You don't have to keep going, Sophia. You've already done enough.
Nonsense. I said I'd do it twice, and I will.
Sophia gestures for the second tray, her determination outweighing her body's protests. Her massive form wobbles slightly as she adjusts her position, her thighs pressing together audibly under the table. She picks up the next burger with trembling hands, her pride refusing to let her quit. The first few bites of the second round are slow, almost painful. Her stomach groans loudly, the sound making her wince. She shifts uncomfortably, the fabric of her blouse riding up to reveal the soft undercurve of her belly, which now rests heavily on her lap.
I can manage this, just a little more.
Her words are strained, her face flushed with effort. As she forces down the second burger of the second round, her body visibly shakes with each bite. Her belly has become a massive, taut dome, pressing so firmly into the table that it seems to trap her in place. Sophia picks up a fry, her fingers trembling, but she can barely lift it to her lips. Her jaw moves sluggishly as she tries to chew, but her body has reached its absolute limit. The last fry falls from her hand as she slumps back into the booth, utterly defeated.
Enough, I can't. Not another bite.
Her voice is breathless, her chest rising and falling heavily as she tries to catch her breath. Her belly is so swollen it nearly spills onto the table, the fabric of her skirt stretched to its absolute limit, the seams visibly straining.
You did amazing, Sophia. No one could have done better.
Flattery won't fix this. Misery help me. Up.
Sophia attempts to rise but finds herself stuck, her bloated belly pinning her against the table. It takes a few moments and considerable effort before she finally frees herself, her body jiggling heavily with every movement as she waddles toward the exit.
Never again.
Despite her protest, there's a faint, almost imperceptible satisfaction in her gaze as she leaves, her massive form drawing every eye in the restaurant. Sophia stands in front of her full-length mirror, her haughty demeanor intact as she adjusts the neckline of her dress. Her outfit clings tightly to her expansive lower body, the fabric stretching over her massive hips and round belly. Despite the snug fit, her relatively modest upper body gives her an exaggerated pear-shaped figure, one she carries with an air of superiority. Her towering high heels elevate her slightly, but even they seem strained under her considerable weight. As she moves to inspect herself from the side, the mirror reflects the full expanse of her backside, an immense plush curve that dominates her silhouette.
This dress is perfect for the party, don't you think?
She turns to you, her smirk self-assured, though her dress creaks faintly with the motion. You nod, trying not to let your eyes linger too long on her wide hips, and the way the fabric strains over them.
You're going to be the center of attention, Sophia.
Her smirk widens, and she lifts her chin proudly.
Naturally. Now, help me with these heels.
She steps forward, but the moment her weight shifts onto one heel, it gives a loud crack. The heel snaps clean off, sending Sophia toppling forward with a startled yelp. Her massive form collides with you, her plush curves pressing heavily against your body as you catch her. The impact sends you both sprawling onto the floor, Sophia's immense backside landing squarely on your lap. Her soft, plush body jiggles from the fall, her belly pressing against you as her wide hips and thighs spread slightly. Her enormous ass, however, takes the longest to settle, the soft waves rippling through her flesh drawing your attention despite yourself.
Ugh, these cheap shoes.
Her cheeks flush, though she quickly masks her embarrassment with a glare at the broken heel. As she tries to push herself up, her wide hips shift, and you feel the full weight of her massive form pressing down.
Maybe it's time for some flats.
Flats, how common, but fine. Let's go find something more suitable.
The two of you head to an upscale boutique, where Sophia's presence immediately turns heads. Her hips sway dramatically with each step, her wide backside drawing every eye as it bounces slightly with her movements. The creaking of her temporary flats is audible even over the boutique's soft music. She examines a rack of dresses, her fingers brushing over the luxurious fabrics.
None of these look like they'll fit properly.
Sales associate approaches, clearly trying not to stare at Sophia's overwhelming figure.
Yes, I need something custom. These standard sizes won't do.
The associate nods quickly and hurries off, returning with a tape measure. Sophia stands tall, her hands on her wide hips, as the associate begins taking measurements. The tape measure struggles to span her immense hips, the associate's hands trembling slightly as they tug it around her. The measure gets caught partway, and Sophia rolls her eyes, shifting her weight slightly.
Honestly, does anyone here know how to work with real curves?
The associate mutters an apology and goes to retrieve a larger tape measure. You step in to help, steadying Sophia by placing your hands on her hips as the associate wraps the new measure around her. The sheer width of her backside makes the task challenging, and you can't help but notice the soft warmth of her flesh beneath your hands. As the associate moves lower to measure her thighs, they pause, clearly unsure how to proceed. Sophia arches an eyebrow, her tone icy.
If you must.
She shifts her stance, her thick thighs parting slightly with a soft jiggle. The associate struggles to slide the tape measure between them, the space barely enough to accommodate it. The process is slow and awkward, and Sophia's expression grows more impatient by the second.
Is this going to take all day?
The associate hastily finishes and moves on to measuring her backside. As they do, the tape measure slips, and Sophia's massive panties are briefly exposed. They are enormous, the fabric stretched taut over her wide hips and plush cheeks, almost resembling a small tent in size. Sophia notices your gaze and smirks slightly, clearly enjoying your reaction.
Careful, darling. You might start to drool.
Her teasing tone sends a flush to your cheeks, but you quickly focus on helping the associate. Stabilizing her wide hips as they take the final measurements, you feel the full weight of her immense figure pressing against your hands. Sophia tries on a few options, each dress tighter than the last. As she attempts to zip up one particularly snug gown, the zipper gets stuck halfway up her massive backside. She sighs dramatically, turning to you.
Well, don't just stand there, help me.
You step forward, your hands brushing against her soft hips as you attempt to pull the zipper. The fabric resists, stretched taut over her expansive curves. As you tug harder, Sophia shifts her weight slightly, her belly pressing gently against the mirror in front of her.
Almost there.
With a final pull, the zipper closes, though the dress looks ready to burst at any moment. Sophia examines herself in the mirror, smoothing the fabric over her hips with both hands.
It'll do for now.
The associate returns with a custom order form. Sophia meticulously describes her needs for the party dress, ensuring every detail is noted to highlight her curves. The associate, visibly relieved to move on from the physical measuring, takes the notes and assures Sophia the custom dress will be ready in a week.
Good, now let's get out of here.
The couch groans, no whines beneath Sophia's sheer mass. The cushions have been conquered, crushed into submission under a mountain of soft lower body. The couch groans, her thighs are spread wide, her hips flowing over the sides of the couch, practically swallowing the armrests. Her belly, broad and plush, spills into her lap in heavy folds, jiggling with every frustrated squirm. She's planted firmly, utterly, completely.
Ugh.
She tries to shift, her thighs tremble with effort, belly wobbling as her soft, overwhelmed body ripples in place. Nothing.
Rebecca
strolls in, towel around her neck, water bottle in hand, not even a bead of sweat on her. She stops, eyes narrowing with an amused smirk.
Did the couch eat you?
No, I just sat too long, and the cushions are shallow. And my skirt slippery okay.
She wriggles again, her hips bounce slightly, causing her belly to wobble against her thighs. The creak of the couch sounds increasingly distressed. Rebecca raises a brow, arms crossed, eyes clearly tracking how much of the couch Sophia isn't leaving room for.
You sure it's the skirt, not the fact that your butt's literally consuming the upholstery?
Sophia glares, but it's hard to look threatening when your belly is spilling out of your stretched top, and your thighs look like overflowing dough.
Are you gonna help me, or just stand there smirking?
Bit of both, honestly.
Rebecca steps closer, sizing Sophia up like she's a tactical obstacle. She leans down, hands on her knees.
Geez, your thighs are covering the whole cushion. I don't even see the seat anymore.
Sophia pouts, arms flopping against her sides. Her upper body is so dwarfed by the sheer width below that she looks like a doll placed on top of a beanbag.
Maybe if you actually had an ass, you'd understand.
Touché, but I also don't need a forklift to stand up.
Sophia groans, finally raising both arms toward Rebecca. Her upper belly lifts slightly from her lap, revealing a deep crease where her stomach meets the vast dome of her hips.
Just pull.
Rebecca grips her hands and pulls. But instead of rising, Sophia's belly sloshes forward, and her hips jiggle in slow motion, sinking deeper into the cushioned trench she's created. She rises an inch, then bounces back down with a thick, jiggly plop.
Hey, why'd you let go?
Sorry, you moved like a waterbed. I panicked.
They both giggle, one frustrated and helpless, the other smug and smugger.
Okay, new plan, rock side to side, get some momentum going. I'll count.
This is so undignified.
1,
Sophia leans, her massive hip rolls, slapping softly into the armrest.
2,
Back the other way, her whole body sways, belly flopping with a soft, airy wub-wub.
3.
On the final sway, Rebecca yanks, Sophia lurches forward, wobbling violently, belly bouncing like jelly, and finally stands, panting, flushed, glorious.
Never again.
Next time I'm bringing a crane.
Her belly is swollen to its absolute limit, pressing outward in tight, overstuffed folds. She groans, gripping her thighs.
Ooh, guy, I can't move.
Sophia sits regally in an oversized, custom-made booth, one of many additions she had commissioned after purchasing the cafe. The plush seating accommodates her immense frame with ease, though her wide hips still dominate the space. The table is reinforced and adjustable, designed to provide ample room for her generously proportioned belly. Round her are signs of her decadent ownership, gilded accents on the furniture, crystal chandeliers casting a warm glow, and a menu boasting indulgent treats that cater to her refined but increasingly insatiable tastes. A fresh plate of pastries sits before her, alongside a towering iced coffee topped with whipped cream and caramel drizzle. Sophia picks up a delicate eclair, her manicured fingers sinking into the soft pastry as she takes a deliberate bite. The rich cream filling oozes slightly, and her eyes flutter shut for a moment as she savors the flavor. Her free hand rests on the swell of her belly, which rises and falls with her slow, contented breaths.
Worth every penny I spent redesigning this place. Finally, a cafe fit for someone of my distinction.
She shifts slightly in the booth, her massive thighs pressing into the plush upholstery as her belly grazes the edge of the table. The custom furniture creaks faintly under her, but it holds firm, a testament to the upgrades she insisted upon.
I have to admit, Sophia, you've transformed this place. It's certainly unique.
Sophia smirks, dabbing at the corner of her mouth with a silk napkin embroidered with her initials. Her pride in the cafe is evident, though she tries to maintain her usual air of aloofness.
Unique, hardly. It's simply the standard every establishment should aspire to. Comfort, elegance, and indulgence, all perfectly balanced.
Despite her composed tone, she eagerly picks up another pastry, a sticky bun dripping with caramel glaze. Her fingers glisten as she takes a large bite, her lips parting slightly as a soft moan escapes her. Her free hand instinctively presses against her belly, which gurgles faintly in response. Her movements are slow and deliberate, but there's an undeniable gluttonous edge to the way she devours the treat. Crumbs dot the expanse of her blouse, which clings tightly to her chest and midsection, the buttons straining against the plush curves beneath.
I must say, owning this cafe has its perks. Unlimited access to the finest pastries. Irresistible.
She chuckles softly, though her amusement is cut short as she leans forward to sip her iced coffee. The table presses against her belly, forcing her to adjust her position. Her movements send a faint ripple through her thighs and hips, the custom booth accommodating her shifting weight with a quiet groan.
It seems like you've made this place perfect for yourself, though I wonder if the furniture might have other opinions.
Sophia's eyes narrow slightly, though her smirk doesn't fade. She gestures dismissively, brushing off the comment as she picks up another pastry, this time a flaky croissant filled with chocolate.
Nonsense. If anything, it's an opportunity for improvement. Perhaps I'll commission an even grander design next month.
She takes a large bite of the croissant, her cheeks puffing out slightly as she chews. Her fingers, now sticky with chocolate and crumbs, move to adjust her blouse, tugging at the fabric where it pinches against her sides. The sight of her so utterly at ease in her indulgence is almost hypnotic. She finishes the croissant, she leans back with a satisfied sigh, her hands resting atop her belly. The reinforced table presses lightly against her middle, a subtle reminder of her size and the luxury she's surrounded herself with.
Perhaps just one more plate. It would be a shame not to enjoy the fruits of my labor.
Sophia strides into the boutique, though her once confident gait has slowed significantly. Her enormous hips sway with exaggerated motion, her thighs rubbing together audibly with each step, and her belly brushes against the racks as she moves. She pauses in front of a display of designer dresses, her eyes narrowing in appraisal. Her fingers trace over the tags, and she huffs in irritation as she realizes none of the ready-to-wear sizes even come close to accommodating her dramatically curvier figure.
Why is everything here so tiny? Are they making sizes smaller on purpose?
She glances over at a sales associate, motioning them over with a sharp wave of her hand. Her pride, however, barely masks the faint blush on her cheeks as she gestures to a rack of dresses.
Do you have this in a larger size? And by larger, I mean significantly larger.
Sophia strides into the boutique dressing room with a determined air, the custom-made tights draped over her arm. The fabric looks impossibly large, yet as she glances at her reflection, it's clear that even these might be a tight fit. Her hips dominate her silhouette, curving outward in dramatic plush arcs. Her thighs press together heavily, the sheer softness of them creating a subtle jiggle with every step. Her backside swells outward, a massive wobbling testament to her indulgent lifestyle. Sophia unfolds the tights, the material shimmering under the soft dressing room light. The waistband stretches wide, designed specifically to accommodate her expansive hips, and the legs appear almost comically oversized, yet she knows the fit will be a challenge. Sinking onto the ottoman, her body spills over the sides, the furniture groaning under her weight. She exhales sharply, sliding the tights over her feet with ease, the smooth fabric hugging her ankles and calves like a second skin.
These were made for me. They will fit.
Her tone is resolute as she begins to pull the tights higher. The fabric clings to her calves, stretching snugly as it approaches her knees. The material fights her every inch, gripping onto the plush softness of her legs. When the tights reach her thighs, the real struggle begins. Sophia grips the waistband with both hands, her knuckles whitening as she tugs forcefully. The tights stretch audibly, the material straining to contain the immense girth of her thighs. Standing now, Sophia adjusts her stance, her thighs pressing together with a soft squish. Her backside wobbles heavily behind her, the sheer size of it defying the fabric's attempts to contain it. She grunts softly, her face flushing with the effort as she pulls harder.
This is ridiculous, but they will fit.
The waistband catches on the lower curve of her S-cheeks, refusing to slide further. Sophia shifts her weight, twisting her torso as she tugs at the tights. Her backside quivers with every motion, the heavy flesh jiggling as she pushes the fabric higher. Sweat beads on her brow as she leans forward, her hands pressing deep into the soft flesh of her hips and thighs to guide the tights upward. The material resists stubbornly, but with a final, determined yank, the waistband snaps into place, settling just above her wide hips. Sophia straightens, her chest rising and falling as she catches her breath. She turns to the mirror, smoothing her hands over the fabric. The tights fit snugly, almost impossibly so, but they hug her curves perfectly, outlining every plush inch of her body.
They're perfect as expected.
Her voice is triumphant as she admires her reflection. The tights cling to her thighs and hips, shaping her immense curves into an alluring silhouette. Despite the struggle, they look as though they were painted onto her skin. With a satisfied smirk, Sophia gathers her belongings, the sway of her hips and the bounce of her backside making each step an event unto itself. The custom tights have proven their worth, and Sophia's confidence is as unshakable as ever. The grand ballroom is alight with chandeliers, their golden glow shimmering across the polished marble floor. Lavish decorations and elegant guests fill the space, but all eyes turn as Sophia steps through the towering double doors. The gown is custom-made, yet even its luxurious fabric struggles to contain her immense pear-shaped body. Her wide hips sway with every step, the expensive silk clinging to her curves as she makes her entrance. Her belly, prominent yet elegantly restrained, shifts with her measured movements, the soft ripples barely hidden by layers of fabric.
Of course, I'd be the center of attention. It's only natural when you look this stunning.
She tosses her platinum hair over her shoulder, her confidence as extravagant as her appearance. But as she walks, it becomes clear that standing for an entire evening in heels, while carrying her immense figure, is no small feat. After a few short conversations and graceful twirls, she exhales deeply, fanning herself with irritation.
Ugh, enough of this. I need to sit down before I collapse.
She scans the room, spotting a section of chairs lined along the wall. With little hesitation, she makes her way over, eyeing the seating situation with a calculating gaze. A single chair wouldn't stand a chance against her ample backside. Without a second thought, she grabs two more, pulling them together before sinking down, her voluminous gown spreading across all three. The seats creak under her weight, but she simply adjusts with a satisfied sigh.
Much better. Now, be a dear and fetch me something to eat, won't you?
You oblige, bringing her a plate of hors d'oeuvres. She accepts them daintily at first, plucking a small pastry and popping it into her mouth. But one bite quickly turns into another. Round after round of food is brought to her, and each plate disappears at an astonishing rate. She doesn't bother pretending to eat with restraint, her appetite as indulgent as the luxurious setting around her. Her belly grows rounder as the night progresses, the fabric of her gown subtly tightening as she indulges. The plates stack higher beside her, the waitstaff hesitating before delivering yet another course. But she waves them forward, her appetite unabated.
A proper lady never lets good food go to waste. Besides, it's not my fault they keep serving such exquisite dishes.
You look a little too comfortable to keep reaching. Let me help.
Well, I suppose if you insist.
You lift a delicate pastry to her lips and she takes it without hesitation, letting out a pleased hum as she chews. She leans back, allowing you to continue, enjoying every bite as her belly rounds further. By the time the ball begins winding down, Sophia lets out a soft sigh, shifting slightly in her seat. Her gown is stretched to its limit, her belly visibly full from the sheer volume she has consumed.
I may have overdone it, but I regret nothing.
Limo pulls up outside, and with great effort, Sophia rises from her trio of chairs, adjusting her gown as she moves toward the exit. The double doors of the ballroom barely seem wide enough for her expansive hips as she steps through, her plush curves brushing against the gilded frame. Outside, the limo door is held open, but a new challenge arises, getting her inside. She eyes the vehicle, then you, as if expecting assistance.
Come on, take my hand. Let's make sure you get in comfortably.
She accepts your hand, letting you guide her as she carefully eases into the limo. The vehicle dips under her weight, but she settles in with a satisfied smirk.
Much better. Now, drive. I think I could use a little something sweet to end the night.
As the limo pulls away, Sophia reclines, resting a hand on her full belly, eyes half-lidded with satisfaction. The night may be over, but her indulgence is far from done.
Ugh, my skirt's digging into my hips again. Do they even make clothes for figures like this?
Sophia's once regal posture has been overtaken by sheer mass, her body now wider than she is tall, an imposing monument to indulgence. Her upper belly folds into thick, soft layers, which she holds instinctively, her fingers sinking into the plush rolls with a mix of frustration and familiarity. Her backside has grown into an impossible shelf, a massive swell of fat that forces her dress to ride up, the hem barely reaching the tops of her thighs. The fabric cuts into her flesh, straining against the sheer circumference of her hips, her thighs pressed so tightly together that even standing still, there is no space between them. Her belly pulls forward in heavy folds, rolling over itself as it spreads outward, its presence overwhelming her figure. Each step sends slow ripples through her form, her ass and belly moving in opposition, a hypnotic display of excess as she struggles to keep herself balanced. Her arms, once delicate, have become soft and plump, each movement accentuated by the jiggling of plush flesh. Even her face has rounded out, the sharpness of her jawline now swallowed by a growing softness, her chubby cheeks tinted with an ever-present blush. A deep moan escapes her before she can stop it. She gasps, turning bright red.
If you tell anyone, I'll kill you. I don't do things halfway. If I'm going to indulge in this barbarism, I may as well conquer it twice.
Sophia eyes the double order of W.C. Donald's challenge with distaste and conviction. 10 burgers, 6 cartons of fries, 4 sodas, an amount that would make lesser gluttons cower. Seat groans as she settles in, her immense hips spilling far over the booth, her lower belly pressing aggressively into the edge of the reinforced table. Her blouse is already tight across her chest and midsection, and her thighs squished together with an audible SHLRRP as she shifts. Sophia picks up the first burger with slow, precise fingers. Her manicured nails gleam as she takes a dainty first bite, then another. Her elegance clashes delightfully. By the second burger, her pace is slower. The rich grease pools at the corners of her mouth. Her jaw moves languidly, eyes fluttering shut as she forces herself to chew. She dabs her lips with a monogrammed napkin, only for more crumbs to immediately take its place. By the fourth burger, her breathing grows labored. Her plush middle bulges outward, swelling heavily against the edge of the table. Her skirt waistband digs visibly into her belly, indenting the thick, wobbling dome. She leans back, groaning as she gulps soda to lubricate her throat. The carbonation hisses from her mouth between bites, her cheeks flushed as the first full set disappears.
Absolutely vile, and yet oddly triumphant.
She dabs at her cleavage, catching crumbs and smears of sauce. The fabric of her blouse rides higher, exposing the lower curve of her belly as it droops past her waistband. Sophia raises one trembling hand and signals for the second tray.
You're seriously continuing.
Of course, I said twice. That means twice.
The second tray arrives with visible hesitation from the staff. Sophia sneers at the pile of food, then leans forward, her massive belly squishing against the table as she reaches for burger number 6. Her hands tremble now, her bites are slow. Her throat bobs visibly with each strained swallow. Burger 7 enters her mouth in weak, hesitant bites. Her body trembles slightly now, soft groans escaping her lips between chews. Her cheeks puff out as she tries to keep chewing despite the heavy pressure within her. She sits deeper into the booth, belly pushing harder against the table, her lower belly beginning to spill into her lap like a molten mound of dough. Soda trickles down her chin after another desperate gulp. She winces and rubs her distended middle.
It's like I can feel it expanding, every inch.
Her voice is soft and breathless, hips twitching against the bench as she fights to shift. She picks up burger 8. The burger shakes in her grip as she lowers her face toward it. Her eyes flutter half-closed. The sounds she makes are a tangled mix of groans and sighs. Her fingers squeeze the bun too hard, mayonnaise oozing between them. With the final bite of the third burger from round 2, she slumps back into the booth, her belly rounding like a swollen tide, its taut surface twitching with effort. Her blouse has ridden up completely, revealing a landscape of plush, flushed flesh. Her breaths are shallow. Her hands cradle the crest of her stomach as though trying to soothe it.
I can't anymore.
Her hips strain against the booth, thigh flesh oozing outward, pressing against the wood. She tries to shift, only to find herself pinned, her belly so massive and distended that she can no longer pull away from the table.
You finished 8. That's more than anyone else ever could.
Sophia doesn't reply immediately. She lets out a long, low moan, her head lolling back against the booth, eyes half-lidded with exhaustion and pride.
8 in one sitting, disgusting, but undeniably impressive.
It takes several moments for her to brace herself. Her belly gurgles loudly, the sound bubbling up from deep inside her. She gasps, then lets out a choked laugh.
You'll have to help me up.
You move to her side, carefully taking her arm. Her belly is hot and firm to the touch, resisting every shift as she tries to lean forward. The effort causes her cheeks to jiggle, sweat beading along her hairline. With a great heave, she rises, belly swinging forward with a visible wobble, her skirt seems creaking from the pressure. She steadies herself with one hand on her stomach, the other gripping your arm tightly.
Tell no one about this, but also document everything. I want to remember exactly how far I went.
She waddles slowly toward the exit, belly swaying like an overfilled sack of pudding, her head held high. Every eye in the restaurant follows her, stunned by the sheer scope of her form and the magnitude of her gluttony.
Oof, I just tried shifting in my chair and creak. Oh no, that better not break.
Sophia's body is a testament to indulgence, her stomach engorged beyond reason, stretched impossibly taut beneath the confines of her dress. The sheer volume of food has displaced her usual folds, forcing the lower fat of her belly to jut out beneath the fabric, a soft, hanging mass that spills past her lap. Her chest, once small but visible, has now disappeared entirely behind the sheer dome of her stomach. The roundness of her gut dominates her figure, rising high, pressing outward, demanding all the attention her frame once refused to give it. She rubs slow, careful circles over her swollen stomach, her fingers pressing into the overstretched skin, attempting to soothe the overfilled mass. A deep red hue has overtaken the upper swell of her belly, the heat of digestion making her flushed and warm, her body working overtime to process the absurd amount she has consumed. Her dress, once meant to be a symbol of refinement, now clings to her as if painted on, every inch of fabric forced to stretch over her overloaded figure. Each movement sends tremors through her soft, quivering flesh, her belly shifting, her backside swaying, her entire form an overwhelming display of excess. Even standing still, she struggles to find balance, shifting her weight slightly as her backside and stomach pull her in opposite directions. She exhales slowly, her breaths heavy, the sheer weight of her belly pressing against her frame, a reminder of just how far she has let herself go. Every slight motion makes her whimper, her overfilled stomach sloshing.
I can't.
A sluggish slosh echoes from her belly as you need it. She bites her lip.
Fine, Jay, just keep going.
A sluggish slosh echoes from her belly as you need it. She bites her lip.
Fine, Jay, just keep going. I tried crossing my legs and HFF. My thighs are just too thick now, they squish together too much.
Sophia lets out a dramatic groan, leaning back as much as her immense figure allows. Her enormous backside overflows the chair, her belly pressing forward into the table, but she keeps her bratty smirk, knowing she'll have another plate brought to her whether she needs it or not. Sophia reclines, settles into the oversized booth that now practically exists as a throne at the heart of the cafe she owns. Her colossal form sinks deep into the custom-built plush seating, though even this reinforced haven can barely contain the breadth of her hips or the sheer swell of her lower half. The booth groans audibly as she shifts, her thighs spreading and pressing against the padded walls on either side, while her belly, wide, soft, and visibly plush even beneath layers of rich fabric, spills forward and up onto the table's edge. Even the reinforced table bows slightly beneath its gentle pressure. Golden accents gleam across the cafe, soft light glinting from crystal fixtures she had specially imported. Every surface bears her initials, embroidered, engraved, or stitched, and every menu item now caters to her increasingly decadent palate. Before her sits an entire platter of delicate, gourmet pastries and a towering glass of cream-crowned, caramel-drizzled iced coffee. She lifts an eclair delicately between two fingers, though the pastry looks laughably small in her plush, ring-adorned hand. She brings it to her lips and bites down with luxurious precision, the filling bursting slightly onto her lips as she closes her eyes with an audible hum.
It's not gluttony if you own the building.
She dabs at her mouth with an embroidered silk napkin, then slowly presses her other hand into the vast expanse of her belly, rubbing soft, circular motions as she breathes deeply. Her blouse is straining, the once loose designer top now hugging tightly to her torso, buttons puckered from breast to belly.
You've really turned this place into something else, Sophia.
Naturally, I only set the highest standards. Comfort, elegance, and indulgence. All of it tailored exactly to me.
Her smirk widens as she grabs a sticky bun next, caramel oozing between her fingers before she lifts it to her mouth and takes a biting mouthful. Her cheeks puff, her eyes flutter, and a low moan escapes her as the sugar-laced decadence melts on her tongue. Her massive belly shifts as she leans forward slightly, pressing firmer into the table, forcing her to adjust again. Her thighs jiggle from even that minor movement, the booth sighing beneath her. A soft, chocolate-filled croissant follows next. She devours it with less ceremony now, more hunger than posture. Each bite is languid but increasingly greedy. The frosting from the last pastry dots her lips and settles into the swell of her bust, which rises like hills beneath the clinging fabric of her stretched blouse. She doesn't bother wiping it yet, her focus remains squarely on her next indulgence.
Do you ever worry you're overdoing it?
Darling, the only thing I overdo is perfection.
With another bite, she finishes the croissant and licks her fingers, one by one, deliberately. Her entire body radiates confidence and laziness, the queen of her confectionery kingdom. Her immense belly gurgles softly, a plush, satisfied protest that elicits a self-indulgent chuckle. She leans back into the booth, her belly rising like a soft dome beneath the table, hands resting atop its warm curve. The reinforced edge cuts lightly into the fat, but she pays it no mind. Her eyes, half-lidded with satisfaction, wander lazily to the menu once more.
Perhaps another plate. It would be irresponsible not to enjoy the fruits of my vision.
The table shifts again as she reaches to ring the little bell she had installed just for herself, summoning another round of indulgence. Her breaths are deep, slow, her cheeks faintly pink, not from embarrassment but the flush of luxurious excess. As the cafe's staff rushes to refill her table, she lets out a satisfied hum and shifts again, her belly wobbling and the booth creaking beneath her. The cafe's centerpiece, its owner, its icon, sinking deeper into her plush throne with every indulgent bite. Your hands knead slow, deep circles, feeling the weight of her stuffed stomach shift. She exhales sharply.
NNNGH. I hate how good that feels.